But I knew he was gonna say yes, so I wasn't worried about that.
Until we got to her and she hesitated. And
I gave him a little heart attack.
We did obviously see you guys, have some ups and downs. We saw your relationship with Mal play out a little bit in the beginning. What was it like for you both to watch it back, and any concerns you had there? How quickly did those come back? Did it go away? What was it like to watch it again?
I'll start with that. So for me watching it was really awkward. I knew about the conversation beforehand. They both told me about it. But I think they both kind of forgot the details of it. So when I watched it, I was like, oh God. Like, it was just so awkward. But at the same time, like, while the feelings felt fresh, I was constantly reminding myself, like, that's not who he is. And he's proven for, God, almost 9 months now who he actually is. And I think it was just, I'm not gonna make excuses for him, but I think it was just how fresh everything was. But yeah. What about you?
And it was definitely hard to watch for myself too. I think in the moment, you're coming off this high of, you're just now leaving the pods and you're seeing the other person that you had a connection with for the first time. So I definitely think I could have tailored the conversation a different way. But that's no excuse for the conversation that did happen, but it definitely was a little cringy. But I definitely just also, like she said, just have to remind myself that, this was something that happened months ago. We've moved past that, we've grown past that. And, I've done everything that I needed to do every day to just reassure her that, you're the only one and I made the right choice and I made the choice for a reason.
Would you say going through something like that helped you guys form a communication and be able to be open and honest with each other?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the structure of the pods, you kind of have to do that already. But even still, just within us watching it for these past few weeks, it's been transformative, even for me, because I realized the things that I need to work on and how I can better communicate with him and ways that he'll be more receptive to what I'm saying, and then vice versa.
And why would you say that Iana is ultimately a better fit for you overall?
She's a better fit for me because she's everything that I needed, and I said this all the time, on paper, me and Mal would have worked out, but
same person.
I think, I think with Ayana, she was vastly different. And I think those differences are things that I needed in my life to kind of help me grow and be a better person and be a better husband.
When did you guys decide you were going to say yes, say I do? And was there any part of you worried about what the other person was going to say on wedding day?
Well, for me, I was all in. I think I forget when our last date was, when we went to where we had the Hancock building, the observation deck. So it was that moment where I was like, you know what, there's no doubt in my mind that this is the one for me. I'm going to say yes. I have no doubts. And I told her, several times before, you know what, I'm 10 out of 10. I'm good. There was maybe one time where I was a 9 or 8 out of 10, but I felt pretty confident, after our last date.
Yeah, I wasn't that. I wasn't like that at all. I was fairly confident, but I was still really, really nervous because it's such a short period of time. I'm like, I can't see the full encompassed you. And I think my logic was just constantly getting in the way. So I felt fairly confident. The day of the wedding, though, I did have a slight freak out with my best friend, and she's like, Ayana, it's okay. What are the pros and the cons? And I listed all of them, and I was like, you know what? I'm better now. I was like, I'm absolutely gonna say yes. But I knew he was gonna say yes, so I wasn't worried about that.
Until we got to her and she hesitated. And
I gave him a little heart attack.
A little bit. We could just start with you going through where you stand right now with your respective ex. Are they still your ex? When was the last time you spoke? On good terms? All that fun stuff.
Mallory and I had a date afterward, and we talked about everything. We got some closure on a lot of stuff, and we just decided that we tried everything. We tried everything from a romantic standpoint, and in that date, we just got our closure and decided to part ways. And since then, we just checked in on each other, and I wish her the best, and I have my respect to her, and everything like that. We tried, we were vulnerable with each other, and that's all we can really do.
Good to hear. Good terms. Natalie, what about you?
Yeah, so Shane and I are friends. We did give it another shot after our wedding. So we did continue our relationship for several months, and, we parted ways, after that. And, but we are friends right now, and I wish him all the best.
And Deepti?
Yeah, we tried to be friends after filming wrapped, but it just wasn't the vibe. Anytime we hung out with Shake, like even in group settings, it's just there's always some sort of issue or something that we have to call him out on because he lacks self-awareness in social settings or even in how to talk to people. And you know what? I realized it's not my problem anymore, and I shouldn't have to deal with it. So yeah, I think we're on two completely different paths.
Obviously, at the beginning of your story, Shanna became kind of a big part of it. Was there any part of you that really thought it was like a real threat to your relationship? And where do you stand with her now?
Yeah, so I actually wasn't aware of their connection in the pod. So at the time, I didn't think of it as a threat. And so I just wasn't sure of her intentions, throughout filming. And then in terms of where her and I stand, we're cordial with one another. I see her often at gatherings with the cast, and she's been only but very kind to me. And yeah, so that's kind of, where we are.
How have the last couple months been? I mean, biggest challenge, best part?
I think biggest challenge was us losing the structure of the show. And, we quickly realized like, hey, 2 months ago, we weren't married, we were single. Now, since then, we've met and married. We have friends, we have family. Everybody, some people know, some people don't. And so it's like, how do you navigate these waters? Yeah. And how do you go from, doing whatever you want 2 months ago to like, being part of a family? And so I think once we started getting that and like building, we were in couples therapy, like building out these like frameworks and processes for how we communicate and, me learning that I need to listen more and talk less in some of those situations and things like that to help us sort of navigate those waters.
And I think like one thing looking back at it is that because him and I fell in love so quickly, and because we definitely we both knew at the end of the day we wanted to stay together. So we did feel so pressured to figure out what was the best route for us to take. And so that created this pressure cooker environment that we felt like, oh my God, what do we do? And now that we both came to the conclusion, it's like, it's us. We're spending the rest of our lives together. And so I just can't wait for people to see the relationship that we have now and just ourselves without that kind of pressure. It's it's just such a different relationship. And
we spend so much time doing things that we love. We travel, we went to Mexico over New Year's. We went to the Wisconsin Dells and did a water park with 10 of our friends, 4 of mine, 5 of hers, or something like that. And so we're doing all of these fun things. We're cooking together. We're going to different restaurants. We're experiencing all these things that we had always wanted to do and have someone to do with. And so we've just been kind of honestly, learning how to communicate better, learning what each other needs out of a relationship, and then just doing things that we want to do to have fun.
I was going to bring up the communication just because part of your story seemed to be, Danielle, you were very candid about some anxieties. And then I think, Nick, it was interesting for you to have to learn how to navigate those. And you guys obviously were doing it in front of camera. So where would you say your communication is now? And what was it like to kind of watch some of those heated moments back?
The couples therapist literally was like, Danielle, you speak French, he speaks German. And when you're talking to each other, it doesn't translate. And it takes months, years sometimes to be able to actually communicate with each other. And so the harder we try, the more our therapist is a translator for us, the easier it becomes. And even with my anxiety, and we both go through our stresses, one time I might need to be alone. One time I might need him to hug me. And I have to realize I can't assume that he's going to know how to be there for me. I have to verbalize, this is what I need from you right now, and be patient with him not completely always understanding what to do in those situations. And so he is I don't know, I can't over communicate how well he is at navigating that stuff.
And I would say too, so we do have some rules that we follow that we've learned and put in place. And it's not like you don't hit the finish line. It's never over. Like we're always going to have miscommunications. We're always going to have, a conflict that comes up, but it's the understanding of where one another's coming from and realizing that like there's no ill will, there's no judgment. It's just trying to understand has been really helpful for us to get stronger and better, and know that we're going to continue to get better. And I don't think there should be any stigma around, getting therapy individually, getting therapy with a couple, because, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. We're all coming from a different place, and you can't fault someone for that.
This is my last question. Something you're looking forward to, and where's the rock band set now?
The rock band set is right around the corner here.
Does it stay out?
He's still not good at it, but
terrible.
It is I'm not kidding. Like the first thing that his friends do, or my friends do when we get here, the rock band set's here. The costumes are here. He wears the costumes more than I do.
Wow.
We figured it all out. Compromise.